Hi, this is Controlled Chaos, and this video I want to talk about the City Heroes Thunderspy private server. Before I get into that though, I want to mention about my last video where I reviewed the Rebirth server. If you want to see that video, click on the card in the upper right hand corner. It will also guide you through the M3 reading system that I will be using. Anyways, the Rebirth server, I was informed that when I was talking about the mobs and how close the spawns were together and the respawn rates of those, that's how it was on the live City Heroes servers before they were shut down. I wasn't playing during that time because I was too busy working during that time frame to notice that change. So I respect those people that mentioned that to me, and I thank you in the community for doing that. I'm not going to make the changes to the score system because there are future reviews I'm going to be doing of servers where they've actually fixed that issue, okay, or those issues, should I say. Anyways, let's get into the Thunderspy video and start talking about that. So Thunderspy does things differently, and they change things up. So if you're looking for your vanilla City Heroes of how exactly it was when it was live, this server's not for you. If you're looking for a server where they change things up and they add some things and stuff like that, you might want to check out this server. Listen to the review, make your own decision. First off, they've done a lot with the archetypes and the power sets when you're creating your character. First, they added an archetype called the Primalist. The Primalist is a shapeshifter who also gets abilities to buff groups and things like that. So it uses like savage attacks mixed with some shapeshifting into like a wolf, a panther, things like that. So I'm giving them a +1 for adding in this power set. However, there's a caveat to this. I'm giving it a -1 because when you do the shape-shifting, they use a particle effect to cover the swapping of the models. However, when that particle effect plays, it's 2 seconds after the swap of the model. So you see this automatic change of your model and then the particle effect play, and plus the particle effect's a little too small. It's a simple, easy fix. They just need to move back the timing of the particle effect for a couple seconds and make it a bit bigger so it covers up the swap of the model and you don't see it. Now I want to go into the power sets, and this is going to take some time. So with the power sets, you go under tank, and then in tank, there's 3 new power sets. The first power set is the Scar Armor. It's a really cool new way of doing things on buffing your tank. It's nice. It's done well. The next one is called Hard Life. This is a shotgun wielding tanker. It works, and it works nicely because you still have to be in close and almost melee range to use these shotguns. So you're a little bit further away, but not by much. So it fits well with the tank. The second ability that they added in is Pale Blade. You're dual wielding swords, and it does a lot of sort of fear effects and things like that. That's really sort of cool. Now, onto the next power sets. There's the Scrapper. The Scrapper gets spiritual melee and spiritual aura. Anyways, what these are sort of really nice and cool because it's more on that fear factor thing again and adds to the fact. Now we have the Defender. The Defender has Holy Light, and this has power effects both for when you're doing the attacks and on the mobs that are really sort of new and refreshing. It's a whole entire light, a Holy Light type of effect when you hit a mob and stuff like that. Looks really cool, really unique. Now there's the next one I want to talk about, which is the Dominator. The Dominator, they added in 2 power sets. They added in Wind Control and Psychokinetic Assault. Wind Control allows you to do like down pressure, blowing winds, summon a tornado, things like that. And the tornado you summon as a constant pet. Psychokinetic Attack is you use the whip attacks from the demon masterminds along with the fire swords from the fire melee mixed together in your attacks. And they're a mix of ranged attacks and melee attacks. But what they added onto this is every time you land a hit on one of the mobs, it summons a floating fire sword that will do damage over time. And it doesn't just summon one, it summons 3. Now, there is a slight problem here. When you combine the wind control with the psychokinetic assault, that build is really powerful, and you mow through mobs like they're nothing, like they're trash, and it's a little too overpowered, so I'm giving a -1 to that. Another power set is the Mastermind power set, and that power set is knights. You now get archers, you now get squires, you now get a knight. Overall, for adding in so many power sets to play with and so much new stuff to play with, and I've played with all of them, and they're very nicely, majority of the time, well balanced, well thought out. So I'm giving them a +2 overall for adding in so many new power sets. I gotta give them +2 for that. Yeah, it's easy for them to implement it. They know how to do it by now, but it's the numbers of power sets and the fact that they're balanced that I gotta give it the +2. If you're liking this content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Now, I want to move on to costumes. They've done a good chunk with costumes, and some of this stuff is not easy to do, and some of it's really hard to do. The first thing they did is color customization options. When you're in your character creation, below your color palette, you're going to see 3 buttons. One's going to be your normal color palette. The second button is going to be a more enhanced choices of a color palette, which with saved colors that you like, and then the third button gives you an RGB sliders for your reds, blues, and your greens, along with a color palette save, which is really cool. That took time to program and work out and get working in the game, so I'm giving that a +2 because that's some bit of hefty work to do. The next thing I'm going to talk about is they've added in some new costume pieces for your characters. Half of these are for the female characters, and then half of them are headpieces that can go on anyone. Now, some of these pieces are just made by Say Heroes community members themselves, mainly the female pieces ones. And so there are other servers that you may see this on. However, there are other pieces that are made specifically for Thunderspy and Thunderspy alone. Now, I'm giving this a +3. And the reason I'm giving this a +3 and such a high increase is the difficulty that they had to do this. City Heroes uses a model file format that no other game uses. So trying to figure out and how to make that file format work is a very hard thing to do. I know this. I'm a professional 3D modeler. I've worked on games making 3D models. The standard is FBX. They don't use FBX in Say Heroes. So Thunderspy literally had to go through and backwards jerry-rig and figure things out. I wouldn't say jerry-rig because these costume pieces work, but they had to figure it out. Now, there is a small bug that came in with adding in more costume pieces, and that is when you're going through and you're picking your pieces, there's some where there's a couple parts that are added on to 2 separate parts of a model, and when you go from one model to the next one where it adds a part onto that previous model, and you move down to the next one where it changes overall, that second add-on piece stays floating around until you finish your selection, then it disappears. So it sort of messes up the feel that you're going for and getting an actual true feel. Makes it hard to fully preview before making the selection. You have to make the selection. If you decide you don't like it, then you gotta go back and go deal with the whole entire thing and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a hassle. So I'm giving a -1 to that, but this team's dedicated to this, and I think they're gonna fix it. When they fix it, I'll re-review and give you guys the update on that. So that's what I have there. Now, let's move into actual gameplay. The actual gameplay, it has the same problem that the Rebirth server had with the spread of the mobs in the starter areas and the spawning of them, which, as I mentioned, that was the way it was when City Heroes public servers got shut down. So as I mentioned, I'm still keeping that the way it is. So I'm giving a -1 for both the spread and the respawn on those. So that's going to drop it by 2. Another issue the game has is when you try to merge 2 enhancements, it will not work. It gives you an error when it trying to merge them. So because of this bug and not being able to upgrade your enhancements like that, I'm gonna give another -1. Next thing I want to talk about is the Masterminds. The Masterminds pets always had this problem on the live server of ranged attack units would favor melee attack units would favor ranged attacks, and it was a known bug that they were working on. Thunderspy has done, I'd say a fix, but it's more of a band-aid fix than an actual true fix to make the Masterminds feel the way that they were supposed to feel for the pets. What they've done is for the ranged units, they've taken away the melee attacks and replaced them with other ranged attacks. For the melee units, they took away the melee attacks and added on, or taken, excuse me, they've taken away the range attacks and add on more melee attacks for the melee, except for the demons. The demons had that 50-50 where half their attacks were melee, half the attacks were ranged. And I think that may have been where the bug originally came from. But anyways, they fixed that by changing out the powers for those different pets. So I'm going to give them a +1 because they know how to swap things out and swap out powers, move powers around. So I'm not gonna give them a big boost to that. Doesn't seem like it was that hard for them to do. It's a way to fix it. It's not what I consider a correct fix for how Masterminds were supposed to work, but it's some kind of fix, and it doesn't make the game worse. You don't notice it. They also made changes to the Mastermind power sets for mercenaries. With this change, what they did is they took the medic that was with the first 3 soldiers that you have your troops, and they pulled it out from that, put in another soldier, and made them medic its own power. Now this caused a secondary problem because they moved around when you got pets in leveling. It caused a conflict with getting pets for the other Masterminds, making it a sort of a negative effect on the rest of the Masterminds. Because of that, I'm giving it a -1. The one last thing I want to talk about, also dealing with Masterminds, is you can customize your Mastermind pets looks. You can give them your own flair, their own style, using the custom costume creator, and they've done a beautiful job of implementing this. If you want information on that, I have a short 1 minute 40 some odd second video talking about that card in the upper right hand corner to view that video. You'll love it. So I'm giving it a +2, and I'm telling you right now, I'm split between 2 servers on what to play for. Thunderspy has done so much for this game and enhanced it so much and brought it forward in my mind that I enjoy playing on Thunderspy. It feels new, it feels fresh, and I've been talking to the developers on this, and they're gonna be adding more and they're gonna be doing more. So I look forward to jumping on Thunderspy and seeing what they've changed, what they've added and done. And in the future, a week from now, I'm gonna be doing an interview with Senpai, one of the developers for Thunderspy server. Comment down below with any questions you might have for Senpai. So keep out an eye on that. The overall score for this, by the way, is 12. It goes above 10 because they've taken City of Heroes, they've fixed some of the bugs, they've added more to it, they've moved it forward, they've made the game updated, added more. Just feels really, really good. So congratulations, Thunderspy, for doing a great job and making a game I loved in the past new and fresh. I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Y'all have a good night.